Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. If you can go to the chat room and type in hello, but don't use the word hello. You've got to use some other form of greeting to welcome us all here today. I'm from Australia, so I'll get it started with a good old, let me type it in for you before I say, let me welcome you to the good old g'day. Howdy from David. That's a good one. Good to see. Hiya from Amy. Thank you, Amy. All the different hellos. Let's get it. And if you're in a foreign language, all right, guys, that's a good one from iPhone 110. Who is iPhone 110? You got to put your name in that thing. We've got Turkish greetings. All right. Hi, good evening. So we got Ty from Bulgaria. Good to see. You know, as we travel around the world, and obviously we're looking to build a great team here on today's webinar, and what we're going to get to in just a moment is exactly that. iPhone 110 is Billy. Welcome, Billy. Hi from the UK. Hooray from Malaysia. Good to see. How's it, Slade? I like it. I like it a lot. Very nice. What's up, Coach Hess? Good to see you here on the chat with us today. So we're going to talk about building a winning team today. We're going to take a look at what does that mean? How do we build a winning team and that sort of thing. So when every time, and you know, what I do here and what we do at Action Coach is we build things that are step by step. Okay. Our goal at Action Coach is to make sure that what we do is make things into the most simple thing possible. We break it down so that you can use it today, tomorrow, the next day, you can apply it straight away. So here on the webinar today, I want to make sure that you understand that our goal is to make sure we learn. Now, I'm asking one thing of you, okay? And again, I'm going to get you to type in the word yes, but you can't use the word yes. I'm going to ask you one thing, and that is this, that at the end of the day today, you implement what you learn, okay? I want your agreement that you will implement what you learn. You'll take action on what you learn, because I don't want to come and meet you 5 years from now and see that you still have the same team challenges that you did today. So let's think and let's implement. Acknowledged. Excellent. Bashi, you can't do yes. You can't do yes. You got to say yes without saying the word yes. Guaranteed. Yes, guaranteed. Agreed. I like it. I like it. Roger Federer. Well done. Excellent. Excellent. Of course. Damn right. Noted. These are some good answers, gang. So we're going to build a team here today on this webinar, okay? One of the things we're going to do, if I go a little bit more into my background of building teams, over the last 30 years, I've owned and operated or been a major shareholder in almost 50 companies. That's right, almost 50 companies, more than one company per year. Currently, either majority shareholder or major shareholder or 100% owner and chairman of 11 companies. And I sit here with this and I think, what is it about building team? Well, I was lucky enough, early enough to learn building teams from some great masters. And I've been lucky enough along the way to build some great teams and have some team members that help me shape how we build teams as well. So when we sit back and we start saying to ourselves, all right, what is it that we need to do to build a team? Well, when we build humans, when we build great team members, great employees in our companies, they build a great company. So it's not rocket science to know. Our job is to build people. When we build them, they build the company. That's what we're aiming to achieve time and time and time again. So how do we do that? Well, I'm going to take you through today my 6 keys to a winning team. How do we build a great organization? Again, ready for you to take action on it, ready for you to learn, grow, act on this sort of thing. I'm going to take you through these 6 keys. You're going to take a lot of notes on them. We're going to get to recruiting. We're going to cover off a whole lot of ground here today. We're going to move real fast. That being said, what we need to do as a team here today is make sure, yes, mute everybody. All right, okay, hang on. One of my hosts, can you please mute everybody? Excellent plan, good, good. I'm too busy chatting to read all of the chats here, gang, so I will keep up with you as fast as I can. So to build an amazing team here today, we're going to start and follow this simple process of what we're teaching on board. So number one key to a winning team is strong leadership, not just leadership, but strong leadership. If you were to look at any organization that has ever succeeded massively, there has been a strength of leadership in that organization. What words do you use? Again, as a team, I want us to work here today. What other words could you use to describe a strong leader? What are some of the ways you would describe a strong leader? It might be a leader you've had in the past. It might be a way you lead yourself. But what are some of the ways that you would use, or some of the languaging you would use to describe a strong leader? I would use a word decisive. I would throw decisive out there. Listening is very nice. Inspirational, compassionate is very nice. Communicative, steady, good listener again. Mentorship, directional. See, these are some of the things that we're going to use to describe what a strong leader is. Now, if I go into an organization that is lacking team, the first thing I look to is the coach, is the leader, is the CEO, is the general manager, the MD. Whatever the title is, I'm looking at leadership first when there's a lack of team. A lack of cohesion generally starts from the top. And to give you a simple example of this, many years ago, I walked into a business and when I was first starting out, and the gentleman asked me to come into his organization. And he said, Brad, I want you to fix my team. And I said, really? Tell me about what's wrong with your team. And after he spent about 10, 15 minutes telling me what was wrong with his people, he said, how long do you think it'll take to fix all of that? I said, oh, probably take me half an hour with them. He said, really? Half an hour to fix all of that? I was thinking it'd take weeks or months. So no, it'll take a couple of weeks with you and then half an hour with them. Now, he obviously didn't take it as fun as I actually meant it, but the reality of it is, if we build great leadership, then we build great organizations. So my version of what is leadership. Leaders are people that bring about two things. They bring about passion and they bring about focus in the organization. If a leader can build passionate, focused human beings, then they're doing a phenomenal job. Now, remember, go back to one of my other webinars on management versus leadership, where we talk about the two different sides and why they're both needed in an organization. So if we think about bringing passion out of our people, well, we've got to have a vision. We've got to have somewhere to go. If there's got to be something to be passionate about, if I'm going to be a passionate team member in your organization, there has to be somewhere where I am going if there is a reason for me to get to that space. Now, the focus side of it is also about making sure that I know what I'm doing, where I'm going, the planning, all of those sorts of different aspects are part of it. Keeping me focused, keeping me passionate is the role of the leader. Now, of course, it's also the role of the team member to be passionate and be focused, but we've got to give them an environment. We've got to give them a space. We've got to give them a culture. We've got to give them a reason why, the whole why we're doing what we're doing, where we're going as an organization helps with that. So as the owner of the business, my job is to build the team. Okay, so I'm the owner, I build the team, or the CEO, I build the team. The team takes care of the customer. So as I take care of my team, they take care of my customer takes care of the business, and the business takes care of me. It's a cycle. It is not the job of the CEO to take care of the business, the customers, and the owner. And the team. It is their job to build the team so the team can do a better job. And how do you build them? You train them, you coach them, you mentor them, you educate them, you provide systems, you provide better products and services, better equipment, better technology. The more you give your team to do a phenomenal job, the easier you make their job, the better you make them, then obviously the better they can serve the customer, and therefore the better the customer can take care of the business and keep coming back and buying more, and so on and so forth. Now, a great leader doesn't just focus on one area of their team. A great leader sees there's 16 cylinders of high performance. Most of the time when people look at recruiting, I find they recruit for, put a body in a chair that has the mental capacity to do the job. They look at that. They don't go to the big cylinders of heart and spirit. what's in their what's in their heart, what's in their soul, what do they love, is really a very big part of getting a high performance team. Having a group of people that can achieve amazing things comes from more than just having people who are skilled and have the ability to do the job. Without that vision, without that culture, without that passion and focus that we can breed with those people, a manager will manage the mind and the body. A leader brings out the heart and the spirit in people. I know that an organization is doing well when the customers say they love doing business with the organization, when the team members say how much they love what they do every day. They love coming to work. When people love what they do and when customers love buying from you, you know that you've got a high performance team building in there. Oh, just got a private message. Yes, anytime you want to ask a question, don't put them in the private straight chat, put them in the group so everyone in the group can see the question. That will be a phenomenal thing. I did get, what did I get? 3 questions prior to the event that came in. I'll address those and I'll be happy to take your questions at any time or later in the event as time stands still. So, what is a strong leader's job? A strong leader is to bring out the heart and spirit, to keep people passionate and focused. It's also a strong leader's job to apply pressure to the team. Why do you need to apply pressure? Well, Ilya Prigogine studied a little thing called perturbation, okay, won the Nobel Science Prize for it. And what he realized is that for there to be growth, there needs to be pressure. Now, that's not a negative pressure. If let's imagine I have a balloon in my hands, right? It's a fully blown up balloon. And I've got that balloon and I'm pressuring, pushing. Eventually that balloon is going to explode out, if that makes sense. Okay. It's going to blow apart. Negative pressure of you will do it or else. You must get it done. That negative pressure ends up blowing up a team. Okay. Positive pressure, on the other hand, if we think about how we can actually have a positive form of pressure on a team, stretching them with new goals, giving them new learnings, new things to understand, giving them a challenge, making sure that they've got to go for a personal best, putting the grades up on the wall. These things are a way of stretching people, grabbing that balloon by the top and the bottom, and eventually, if you stretch hard enough, eventually it pops and breaks through. And that's really what Prigogine found when Prigogine looked at this. He said, when there's enough pressure applied, and if you think of a breakthrough in the way Prigogine says it, it's more like like steam boiling. It's not, and then instantly it is. They can simmer, but then once it's boiling, it's boiling. A team breaks through like this. And usually what we find is that to build a great team, a leader has to push until there is a break with tradition or a break apart from the old ways of doing things. Sometimes even a breakdown leads to a breakthrough. Often companies wait until there is a problem before they challenge themselves. And then once they challenge themselves, they get that amazing result sort of thing. So sometimes to get that breakthrough, we have to have the breakup or the break apart or the breakdown, whichever way we think of doing that. Now, second key to a winning team of our 6, second key to a winning team is a common goal. What is it, gang? A common goal. Now, I want you to give me another word for common, okay? So it's not just a goal, it is a common goal. How would you describe a common goal, okay? How would you describe a goal that is common to the organization? Give me your thoughts. It's a shared goal. Excellent word, Tom. Thank you for that one. Vision and mission, pulling in the same direction. I love it. Thanks, Alistair. Purpose, a why factor. The common goal is not just known by everyone, it benefits everyone. For it to be a goal that is common, everyone must win by that goal. It's like a win-win, mutual, purpose-driven, drive, shared. These are great words. Thanks, team, for playing along here. The more you impact, the more you will learn with this thing. Now, that common goal must have a benefit to everyone. What do I see happening in business? The number one thing I see happening in business is the goal is written down in numbers. The goal is just, let's make an extra 10 million this year. The only person excited by the 10 million is the person getting bonus on the 10 million or the owner of the business, and they're excited by it. The team is not excited by that. I know when I first started Action Coach, I had to sit down and think of where are we going as an organization. And I wrote a vision of world abundance through business re-education. In 2008, I wrote a mission for our company of a coach in every business. You know, when you sit down and you think, when Microsoft wrote that goal of a computer on every desk, people thought they were insane. But when I sit there and say a coach in every business, there's no reason why we can't have a coach, an action coach in every business in the world at some point in time. You know, everybody wins by that goal. It's a clear thing that we have to look at. Now, what is the role of a goal? Well, the goal's job, if we think about it correctly, is to do two main things: to enroll new team members and to inspire existing team members. Enroll and inspire. We're going to enroll them in that vision. We're going to inspire them with what they do. I know for me at Action Coach, when I wrote the vision of world abundance through business re-education, when I wrote that vision, over the years, the number of people who come to me and said, Brad, I joined the team because I wanted to be a part of that. Brad, I joined the team because I wanted to help that mission become a reality, that vision become a reality. Now, when we look at setting a vision, a 100-year mission, that's a great way to think of it. The North Star could be that vision. I like to think of the vision, FJ, to be 100 years because then it survives beyond the owner. You know, if the vision will take 100 years to become a reality, then the owner has to build a business that works without them. They have to build a team that will carry on past them in that format. Now, most people, when they set goals or a vision for the business, set away goals. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to have an overdraft. I don't want to be working 80 hours a week. Positive goals or towards goals is level 2 goals, where I want to have this much in the bank. I want to be working, 5 hours a day, 3 days a week. I want to be type thing, moving towards type goals. Ultimately, a vision, though, needs to be a legacy goal. Okay. The vision or the common goal needs to be a legacy greater than you, greater than the business, greater than the people in the business, achieving something for, where we're going. Now, if you're stuck with it for the moment, start with this one. Okay. You will get a more personalized, better one at some point in time. But if you just start with the common goal of to be the very best, whatever your type of business is, in whatever area you want it to be. It might be to be the very best pool cleaning company in all of Las Vegas. That is a very simple starting point until you come up with one that is better for you, okay? Number 3 of our 6 keys to a winning team, rules of the game. If you've got a rule of the game for your organization, type it in there. For us here at Action Coach, we call it our 14 points of culture. These are basically who we are. It describes the way we behave. It describes our culture. It describes what are the rules of how we behave in this organization. It's not the rule of, it's not like the handbook sort of thing of, you put your forms in here, you do that if you want leave. No, that's a handbook, okay? This is the overall rules of the game. How do we perform as an organization? How do we behave as a group of people? Because once we know the standards of how we behave, then we can behave very well. Now, what that means is that you've set a standard of behavior, I guess. You've set a standard of doing things. And oftentimes, and this is one of the challenges with being part of Action Coach, is that as your business grows, as you grow as an owner, as you grow as an executive in the organization, sometimes that growth of the organization, that increase in standards, you raising the bar, so to speak, means that some people don't want to come along. Some people joined you 10 years ago when your standards were very different to your standards today. Some people joined you last month and their standards are not the standards of what you have here today. So, in many cases, when you're growing the business, you've got to keep growing that team. Now, if you don't keep growing that team, and sometimes even if you do, sometimes even with the team being on growth path, you still sometimes have to leave some people behind. Well, I do love the way that Alan Mulally words that. He talks I think the interview he gave was written up in the book American Icon about how to turn around a Ford motor car company. And he said, you know, I never fired anybody. I just let people go who'd already made a decision to leave, you know, so that mentally made that decision. So when we think about the whole standards and norms, what it creates is a culture. Okay, so you're creating an agreed set of values. And if you look at ActionCOACH, or you look at Zappos, or my company Engage and Grow, if you go on engageandgrow.com, you'll see an agreed set of values. And that's who we are as people. Now, that set of rules, if you think of it kind of like a sporting field, okay, the set of rules are the boundaries to the game. These are the boundaries. Anywhere on that field, you can play however you want, but you got to stay on the field, okay? You've got to stay on the field, and you got to do it that way. So one of the best ways I've heard this described was like a fruit bowl. The bowl is the context, okay? The fruit is the content. It doesn't matter where the fruit is in the bowl, as long as it stays in the bowl. Our rules of the game are definitely like that. They set a set of standards of this is how we behave, and that's what we do. All right, point number 4, action plan. Without an action plan, the business will get nowhere. I mean, it's very, very simple. If you want a high performance team, you've got to make sure that everyone knows who's doing what. When's it got to be done? What's on the plan? Without a plan, and this is again why I've taught over and over and over again, we run our business to a 90-day plan, but to achieve our 90-day plan, we do daily planning. Every day at the end of the day, we do our plan, and we make sure we got our plan for the following day. In my organizations, people are required to take a photograph of that. In fact, we require them to handwrite it. There's a magic to handwriting. Don't know what it is, how it works, but I know there's a magic to it. That handwritten thing gets a photograph and gets sent through to their whoever they're reporting into. Point number 5 on our 6 keys to a winning team, we have to support risk taking. This is the emotive one. If I can, this one probably took me the longest to really learn. How can I, well, let me give you a simple example of this. When team members make mistakes, because we're pushing them to do things they've never done before, we're pushing them to achieve things they've never achieved before. If I'm pushing someone to do or achieve something they've never done before, is there a pretty good chance they're going to make a mistake? Yes, there's a pretty good chance they're going to make a mistake. Well, we got to support them with that. Let me just say, I wasn't really the best supporter of people making mistakes early on in my career. I had to learn that skill, had to make sure I did. Now, a part of that is because you have to learn self-respect and respect for others, okay? When my initial style was more the win-lose, the hostile aggressive. I don't think I ever played manipulative aggressive, the lose-lose, which is sort of like your kamikaze pilot style of work. The passive, the lose-win, more like the doormat style, never really played that one. I had to move, though, out of hostile aggressive, playing win-lose, to moving more to win-win and learning that skill of being in a win-win environment sort of thing. So, you know, think about where you invest your time mostly and how that works for you. Now, ultimately, the lose-lose is a negative score. Both win-lose and lose-win is a zero-sum game. The great thing I learned is that when you do play win-win, there's a synergy to the results. It's you know, 1 + 1 = whatever number, because when we're working together, when we play win-win, it happens that way. Now, the other thing that happens when we play win-win is that our business is consistently looking for growth, okay? There is a the Kaizen, the Japanese word, Tony Robbins called it CANI, constant and never-ending improvement, CANI. I look at it in our companies, we find that we grow and then we'll plateau for a little bit, then we'll grow and then we'll plateau. Like we got to ease off sort of thing to catch up a bit, and then we'll grow again and catch up a bit. And I see that constant growth just being a mindset that comes from supporting risk-taking. If we didn't support risk-taking, then we wouldn't have that growth mentality because it would get in the way of what people are trying to achieve. Number 6, 100% involvement and inclusion. As the leader of your team, let's imagine there's 6 people on your team, you're sitting around the boardroom table, and how many of them do you want to have an opinion? How many of them do you want to say something to the organization? You want all of them to be saying something. You want all of them to be contributing. So it's your job to make sure you involve all of them. It's their job to make sure they include themselves, or either way you can put that. So it's making sure there is 100% involvement and inclusion, and that comes back to that synergy factor. When we get all 6 keys working together, that synergy kicks in and the team just starts to achieve so much more than it could have before. Now, how do we hold all that together? Communication. No two ways about it that communication is the key, like the glue, I guess, for when we sit down with a team of people. That glue or the oil, I guess, as the machine keeps running. Either way you think about it, how well you communicate. If you level up your communication skills, you level up your team skills. There's no two ways about that. And that's, again, why I think one of the great things that you can chat with your action coach about is learning sales skills, learning team building skills, learning communication skills, understanding behavioral profiles or communication profiles. All of those things, make sure you chat with your action coach about how you do those things. It's very important to make sure of it. All right. So my way of teaching communication is that true communication is the response you get. You know, and in this day and age, we're even moving more forward to a point of, you can tell how well you're communicating by how much connectivity there is in the organization. How well the humans connect with each other is an indication of how much communication is going on in the organization. And that's, you know, the real level of communication. So if we're going to build a winning team, we need rituals. If you've ever been to a live training with me, you'll know we start with a stretch, we end with a whoosh, we do whiffles. These are all rituals. Again, if you don't know these, chat with your action coach. They'll take you through them as to what do these rituals mean. And you notice I spell rituals differently, okay? We have habits are something that happen to you. Rituals are something you design. You design a set of rituals to take you to where you want to go. It's a proactive way of building the life, the team, the business that you want to build by building those rituals in. So, big thing about winning teams, they recruit well, okay? Big thing about winning teams is that they recruit, and they recruit the right people on the bus. So how does our recruiting system work? I'm going to take you through this in a fairly fast way. If you need more info on this, grab your action coach, spend some time with them around recruiting. Now, the first thing we have to do is understand the difference between hiring and recruiting. Recruiting is about going out there and finding the best of the best and convincing them to work with you. Hiring is running an ad and hoping that someone who's out of work will find you and apply for a job. Recruiting is finding the best of the best. Think of it more like a sporting team. A sporting team doesn't put a help wanted ad. Hey, help wanted, new quarterback for our football team. You know, that just doesn't work. What happens is we do that. Now, the second part to that is the philosophy of my job is not to select one of the 20 candidates or 50 candidates or however many come in. My job is to make it fairly hard for them to get a job, and so they take themselves out of the running. My job is to give them enough information where they go, you know what, that job's not for me. I don't want to be doing that job. Excellent. If you don't want to be doing that job, fantastic. So I'm not just making it selection, I make it deselection. So how do we do that? Well, Our recruiting system works through 4 phases. Number 1, the marketing or advertising of the position. Number 2, the screening process. Number 3, the deselection. And number 4, the induction of that person. So write those 4 points down. Now, if you were to think about it, which one of these are you best at? Which one of these ones are you best at? Are you best at getting prospects or getting applications? Are you best at asking the questions and screening through them? Are you best at making it hard for them to? And so, by the way, the reason we make it hard for them is not to just make it hard for the fun of it. It's to make it so that someone wants to work with us, not just get a job. I don't want them to just want a job. I want them to work. They have to really want to be a part of Action Coach, not just want a job, if that makes sense. It's important to keep that in mind as we do this thing. So here's a whole bunch of stuff on advertising. Grab a screenshot or do whichever one you want to do. But I'm going to preface this with one major point, okay? Marketing for a team member today is almost the same or more complex than marketing to get customers. We have to put in as much time, energy, and effort into marketing for employees as we do for customers. There is no way around this anymore. You know, and you see all these job boards where they say, you know, come and advertise on our job board, we'll find you the right people. My challenge with that is the vast majority of the best people that will work for you already somehow know your company. They've seen your signs, they've been a customer, they've driven past your office, they know someone that works for you, or they know a customer of yours. Majority of great employees for your company already know who you are. And that's why getting referrals is a very big part of the marketing for any job. Once you have a job described, then recruiting the right people is often just getting your existing team members to share that you're hiring again. Oftentimes it's putting it in your newsletter, putting it in industry association chat windows, you know, doing all the things to make sure that the people who already know about your business, they like your business, they've done business with you before, or their friend works for you or something like that, making sure they know that you are actually looking for someone. If we think about it, most of the time companies, they're going to hire someone new and they spend almost no money making sure the ad gets in front of the right people. I mean, is it even worth hiring a headhunting company to do it? Oftentimes it is, gang. So we often use a singular page website for job ads so that they go to that site and everything leads them to that site and informs them about the job. Oftentimes we'll only give them a little bit of information on there so that they will come into the interview. Step 2, the screening. We love making people apply differently to most people. I really don't like, and it's proven to not be effective, please just click a button to send your resume. If you do that, you will get an automated response that says, hi, we don't take applications by just sending through your resume. To actually apply for this job, you need to visit this web page. And on that web page, it asks them and tells them how to actually apply. Now, a lot of the times, if I'm recruiting for, say, a position where someone needs to talk, a salesperson, a business coach, something like that, I'll have them call a phone number and leave a message. I'll have them record a video and send in the video. I don't want to just have them do the plain old boring, send me your resume, I'll go through 100 resumes and try and find it. No, I want you to capture my attention. I want you to do something. Leave me a message. We often ask, and you'll see the questions on there, my 3 favorite questions that we'll ask people to answer in their video or in their audio recording or however they do it. But it really is about getting people to do something a bit different. If I want them to apply and just be boring, then absolutely. If I'm not willing to ask them, and some people say, but Brad, when I asked them to send me a video, nobody did. Great. Then change up how you're asking for it. Change up how you're advertising. You're not getting the right target audience. If they're not willing to, like if I'm hiring a salesperson or a business coach and they're not willing to do a video and send it to me, Listen, if you want to go on the TV show Survivor to win $1 million, you got to make a video. You want to work for my company, you got to make a video. Okay, no more complex than that, but we want to screen them. And usually we will make it, well, when we get to deselection, again, we do a 4-hour recruitment process right up front. In other words, the first meeting is 4 hours. It's a group meeting. And again, you can go through with your coach, and your coach can actually help you run this first 4-hour recruiting process. So you learn the process with your coach there doing it for you. Well, I get up, or whoever the team member is that's leading that recruitment, and we talk about the vision, the mission, and the history of the company. Where are we going? Where have we come from? We talk about the culture of the organization, and hopefully I've got 5 or 6 team members there to get up and talk about what it's like to work here. And hopefully they talk about it warts and all. You know, here's the good parts, here's the bad parts. We don't want a honeymoon period with people when we're employing them. We want them to join the team and know that, hey, yes, these things are the crazy things that happen here. And hey, yes, these are the great things that happen here. So we make sure that that's a whole thing. We definitely do diagnostic testing with them while they're there. We want to know what their profile is, what their communication style is, behavioral styles, all of those sorts of things. One thing I didn't cover in there that I did have on the slide is that I take it as my job to, when I'm talking about the vision or mission and the culture, my job is to scare away at least 10 or 20% of the people in the room. I want 10 or 20% of the people to leave the room at halfway and not come back, because that's deselection, okay? So we pick the best applicants, we bring them back in, we do one-on-ones, we might even do social interviews, we might even do on-the-job interviews, we might do panel interviews with several team members asking them questions at the same time. We go through all the detail part, and if we like them, we make them an offer. If no one measures up, we run the whole process again. Better to run the whole process again than hire someone that you think, oh, maybe they'll do an okay job. No, unless you think they're overqualified, don't hire them, okay? Then when they join, we put them into induction. Usually they should not start their job for at least a week, maybe even a month. They've got to learn who the company is, what we're about, what we do, what everyone else in the company does, who are the other people in the company. You like them to break bread with your other team members so they get to know each other and that sort of thing. Now, if we take all of this into account, all of the things that we've just taught, and let's just go back and do a quick summary, okay? What we looked at here with building a team is we looked at the 6 keys to a winning team. If we take those 6 keys, if you add more strength to your leadership, if you make your goal much clearer, much more common, something that everybody wins by, if you go back and you say, okay, what are the rules of the game? Let's define our behavioral rules. And if you want to just copy mine from Action Coach, go for your life. I'm happy for you to do that. Go to engageandgrow.com. Take away whatever it is you want. Once you get clarity around that vision, that mission, that culture document, you can recruit better. Then when you get to the action plan, and again, that's something you should be working with your coach on, making sure you have a full action plan. Then when you get down to it, you actually support them doing new things because, hey, you're pushing them to achieve what they haven't achieved. Make sure you do the other way, but make sure you do it for them. Finally, you build that whole thing in of inclusion, making sure you start recruiting the right people, you put the right people on the bus, you follow that 4-step program right through to induction. All of those things added together. Now, I'm sure that you can go and use this stuff yourself. I'm sure that you can go out there and make a big difference. If you use it yourself, that would be phenomenal. Make sure that you get out there and you do it, okay? Apply what you need to. As we talked about in the beginning, you're going to take action on what you learned here today. Now, if doing it yourself was the only way, phenomenal. That would be a great choice. But, and here's a question I'm going to get you to type in an answer for, okay? But what if there was a different way? What if there was a way where you and I could work together? What if there was a way where you and me, I could actually buy into your success? I could be a part of your success. I could bring you in and give you all of the hints, tips, tricks. You know, in one measly hour on one measly webinar, giving you as much as I can. I'm trying to pack in 30 years of team building stuff into one minute webinar. I can't give you all there is, but what if you and I could get together and we could make sure that every day I taught you more, I taught you more, I taught you more? Would that be a program you want to learn about? If you and I could work together, type in yes, but remember, you can't just use the word yes. You got to get creative here, okay? How do you want to do it? If we could work together doing that, is that something that you think that is important for me? Absolutely. Duh, that's a great one. Thank you, Tom. Absolutely great answer. Let's change the world. Thank you, Amy. I like these ways of saying yes without diving into the word yes. Creativity is a very big part of what we try and do as a team. Remember, we're working as a team here today, gang. Working as a team, what are some of the ways that we can do that and make sure that we do it? Because, you know, one of the most interesting things about getting and solving any challenge is that if we do it together, things create better results. So with that, I'm really excited to offer you the chance to join the challenge. 30 minutes for 30 days a week on business. That one there, let's get it going. Let's build it together. You and me working together for 30 days on business. Then let's work together on building all the success principles into your life. I sometimes feel like we should do the life challenge first and the business challenge second, but that's generally a way we do it. The wealth challenge, that one, holy heck, does that blow people's minds when I help you build a full wealth plan for you, your family, the whole thing. What if we do all three of them? 30 days on business, 30 days on wealth, 30 days on your life. How is your life going to be different if in 90 days you and I spend a half an hour together every single day? And it's fast paced. Let me put it to you that way. Let's get going on this thing. Now, by the way, let me get one of my team. Let me throw into the chat window the link. Do we have, team, the links for any of those 30X or all the 30X programs to throw in there? There you go. Okay. Thank you, Brad Sugar Support. There you go. That's probably Gona. Thank you, Gona, for typing that in and throwing it into the chat window. So that's the three of them separately. Now, here's the crazy deal. If you join right now, if you make a decision right here, right now, today, it's $99. You get 30 minutes a day for 30 days with me learning every day. Every day, then you get on a group call. And in that group call, you discuss what did you learn? What are you going to do? How are you going to change it? All of that stuff. Accountability every single day to learn to grow together. You work with a team of other people who are going through the program. You work and you learn together. Now, here's the best part of all of this type thing. Not only that, you get to join a group of people that go online. Oh, Gona, can you find for me the 90-day challenge one? If someone wants to join for all three programs, is there a way they can? There you go. Thank you, Gona. You've beaten me to it. Also, Gona, can you find me if someone wants to join me? Now, ultimately, gang, if you really want me to buy into your success and you really want to work together, you and me together for one full year, not only will you do the 90X, you'll come and join me for 4 programs, okay? Oh, there's the book, by the way. It's my latest book. If you want that, Gona, can we get a link to the book as well? We just printed the US version. So those in the US, you can finally get the US version. The UK version was out earlier. You want to join me for the university? This is where ultimately you and I work together. It's when we used to do it live, it was $24,000 for the year. Now that I've built myself a TV studio and we can run it for the whole world every single time, we do it for a ridiculous price. All you do is you buy my entrepreneurs training, which is a 2-day training on how to buy, build, and sell companies. I give you for free my scalability workshop, which is 2 days on how to scale a company. My purpose workshop, 2 days on how to live your life on purpose and find your purpose. My landlord training, it says 1 day there, but I've actually extended it to 2 days now on how to invest in real estate. I give you those for free. So you just pay for one, which is just under $8,000, I think $7,997. Actually, Gona, can you find me? There you go, beating me to it again. So if you join me for that one, that's the one we get to go and do the whole year. Now, when you get that program, here's the deal, right? I'm going to make you a very, very simple deal. Not only do you get that program, you not only get the one workshop, you get 4 workshops for the price of one. On top of that, we give you a recording of all 4. On top of that, you get to join a monthly call with me where if you're going to go and buy a business, you ask me a question on that. We do it as a monthly call once a month, every single month in the Facebook group. You get to join that Facebook group. You watch other people ask me questions that I answer about their whole business. On top of that, you get all of the 90X included, those other programs. You do the challenge of all those things. On top of that, because of technology, we give you the library of all my historic events, all of those events in one library here online, so you can learn with me all day, every day. On top of all of that, here's the biggest part of it. you get to bring a second person absolutely free of charge. Again, because it's technology now. Back then it was 24 grand. To bring a second person cost you 12 grand. Now it's 7,997. Woohoo! That's the way to do it. You get it in there. Hey, presto, and you get to bring a second person for free. Anyway, time for questions. By the way, at the end of me saying all of that, you might be in the maybe land. If you're in maybe land, fantastic. We'll get to that in just a moment. But let me answer questions about what we've got here today. The first three questions I'm going to answer are the ones that were put up online. A little bit of water to get through this whole thing. So first one is this, and again, I'm just going to paraphrase these three because most of them are fairly long paragraphs. Let me just do it. The first one is, Brad, everyone says TEAM stands for Together Everyone Achieves More. What happens when there's a member of the team who's actually fighting against the rest of the team? And I use the analogy, when I see that happening, I use the analogy of, you know, everyone's rowing the boat in one direction, but there's one person rowing it backwards in the other direction, sort of thing. When you see that happening out there in the marketplace, it's really important to understand that that is a lack of leadership right there. What is the number one demotivator for people in an organization? I'll tell you the number one demotivator. When people see management and leadership allowing someone to get away with doing bad work. The great employees in your company are so unhappy when they see another employee who's doing no work or bad work, who's fighting against them. And the fact that you let them stay shows those employees that that's the standard you're willing to accept. So unless you're willing to fire that person, you're going to lose a lot of your good people. And the crazy thing is, when you do eventually fire them, you know what your other people say to you? Yeah, about time you did that. Thank God you did that. Yeah, because that guy used to do this and this and this and this. And you're like, well, why didn't you tell me? And they're like, I thought you knew. And guess what? Deep down, you did know. You just didn't want to deal with it because it's better the devil you know, right? No, it's not better the devil you know. Remember that one bad apple sets off the whole bunch. Fire the bad apple. Oh, but Brad, we can't fire people. This is the second question. And again, I'm paraphrasing. Brad, but what happens when we can't fire people? Because by law in my country, we can't fire people. Yes, you're right. The laws are designed to make it so you can't fire people in a lot of places around the world. That is correct. However, you can become very good at having conversations with people where they resign. Okay? Become very good at helping people resign. When I've sat down with people who are non-performers in an organization, I literally sit them down and I show them the statistics and say, here's what happens normally. Here's your level of performance. This is what's happening. So one of two things is going to happen. Either you've got to meet these standards going forward, or we have to find some other thing for you to do. And maybe that other thing for you to do is to do it some other company, some other place, some other time. So what do you think? Are you willing to come up to these standards? Yes, great. Let's make a list then of the top 10 things you need to do to come up to these standards. And when you make the list, one of the things on the list has to be you will report to me every single morning with everything you're going to do that day. Another thing on the list is for the next 90 days, you'll report to me every single afternoon with everything you got done for that day. You'll show me what you did and you'll show me your numbers. Now, somewhere in that conversation, that person says to me or will say to you, I can't possibly do all of that. Okay, well, if you can't do it, then I'll accept your resignation. Here's some paper, here's a pen, sign away. Don't wimp out, by the way. Don't do that. Oh, I don't want you to resign. No, when a bad employee says I'm going to resign, you know what you do? You say, thank you. And you let them resign. Okay? Worrying about people resigning is the thing. The number one thing I've found is when someone leaves, it allows me room to find someone better. Let me take one of these before I dive into the other ones. By the way, if you haven't clicked on all of those links, click on them now. You may not want to do it right at this second, but you may think about it overnight and go, you know what? I really do want to do that wealth one, or I really want to do that business one. Click on the links, make sure you've got them, because otherwise you will not be able to find them tomorrow. Okay. How do you help build and foster the same type of team camaraderie in a virtual work environment? It feels more challenging than in person. It definitely is, Amy. Virtual is very different. In fact, if you go to one of my other companies, Engage and Grow, you will see I did a whole webinar on the virtual workforce thing. So two of the keys to virtual, well, one of the biggest problem with virtual, okay, is that actually, let me go back to the start of going virtual. When we first had to go, because when the virus hit and we had to go virtual, most of us had worked together. Like people knew each other. They worked in an office together. They already knew each other. They'd had lunch together. They'd talked about things. They run into each other at the coffee machine, so on and so forth. Those people going virtual was quite easy because they already knew each other. They already had a relationship. So when they came together on Zoom meetings, they knew each other well enough to know each other's sense of humor. They knew each other to sort of read a bit of the body language. It's when we started adding people who'd never worked for the company before, and we added them virtually, that we started to see the disconnect happening. Okay, we started to see that, hey, it's much harder. And what's his name? Tony Hsieh of Zappos fame. He's passed away now, but Tony talked about what he called collisions. And what he meant by collisions is just the chance meetings. You know, when you're walking down the hallway and you pass someone and an idea comes, you go, hey, did you do anything about such and such? When you're in a virtual world, you don't have as much of that. So what you have to do in a virtual world is build in methodologies to have collisions, build in methodologies for different communication. That's why tools such as Slack, Microsoft Teams, that's why these tools that are forced collisions. Okay, they're forced collisions, meaning when someone puts a message into the chat in Slack, everyone gets it, and you have to go in there and be a forced collision type thing. It's very important to do that, to look at it from that way. All right, time for one last question, and then it'll be time to hit the maybes. By the way, if you're still on a maybe track, I guess most of the time I find there's one of three maybes. The first maybe is time, the second maybe is money, and the third maybe is will it work for me? Let me first of all deal with the time one, okay? Think of the top 10 things you're doing, okay? Because we all have the same amount of time. Yes, there's a bombardment of time on our things. There's a million things we could be doing with our time. But we all only have 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week, right? We all get the same amount of time. So the question isn't, do I have time? It's, am I willing to make time? So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to make a list of the top things that you're doing right now to build wealth and success and cash flow into your life. How are you doing that right now? Make that list. Mentally, just put together that list. Now, off of that list, I want you to think of the one that is the least effective, the one that you're putting time and energy into, but it's not getting you the results. Mentally cross that off the list and write in Brad Sugars, okay? Do Brad's training, go to an action coach, do that stuff instead of doing that other thing that's not working. So we found you the time. Okay, next question that I got here on the list. How do I find a great leader to run the team? Again, I'm paraphrasing a fairly lengthy question, but basically what it comes down to is you're really looking at what you're trying to achieve by appointing that new leader. If I'm buying a company or if I'm doing something where the company needs change, like it's going in the wrong direction, it needs to be changed dramatically, then I'm going to hire from outside, okay? And again, we do that by using the recruitment process. Oftentimes for a high-level exec, we need to use a headhunting company to go and find that person for us because they're professionals at finding the right people, okay? That's their job, that's their business. If, however, I want the company to stay fairly much on track, then I would rather build the leader from within. Maybe recruit a CMO or a COO, hire someone, a CFO, recruit someone at that level and spend 6 or 12 months training them, inducting them, helping them learn the culture, and then build them into the CEO, if that makes sense. So second maybe might be the money side of things. And again, yes, there's a million things to do with our money today. There's always commitments with our finances, always something we got to be committing ourselves to. And the thing is, though, that if something came up tomorrow and it was life or death and you had to find $8 grand, you would be able to find it. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not comparing a training course to a life or death situation. The thing is, though, that if we need the money for something and we really want it, we will find the money. That's a given, and we'll start. And even if you just start with the 3 courses, which is $297, rather than going for the full $8 grand, I'm happy either way. Even if you start with just one of the books, dive on Amazon and grab one of the books type thing, or grab the latest book, the Raise Your Hand Marketing one. My thing is this, right? if we sit down and we start taking a look at all of the things that you could do to build wealth for yourself and your family, doesn't it make sense before you invest your life savings to actually invest in the knowledge of how to turn your life savings into that whole wealth scenario for yourself? Doesn't it make sense to look at it from that perspective, to sit back and say, if I could do this? Now, here's the other thing. All of my programs come with a full money back guarantee. If you do the first 2 days of the training and you don't love it, and you go, Brad, that sucks, I don't want this, it's great. We'll just cut you a check for your money back. It's no problems, 100% easy. We've been doing this long enough that it doesn't matter. We will make sure that you get taken care of. Final maybe, will this work for me? You know, one of the things that I love about doing this for now 30 years is that the track record of my students speaks for themselves. I just got sent a photograph the other day, one of my students down in Texas who joined me first in 2005 for the entrepreneurs training. He bought a company that turned into $300 million. And I sit a $300 million a year entity. He built enough wealth in real estate that his wife retired first. And then they built enough for generational wealth. Sent me a photo of him with his 2 new Lamborghinis the other day, his new Urus and his new Lamborghini that he takes out on the track and races and that sort of thing. Listen, taking action is what we're here for today. We made an agreement together that you would act on what you learn here today. I'm happy if you go off and do this on your own, but what if that better way is the way for you? What if we could do it together, and over the next 12 months, you and me get together multiple times, I buy in, I help you achieve all those dreams and goals you're after? That's what Entrepreneur University is about. That's what being a business coach and action coach is all about. So get back with your coach, come join us on the workshop, come join us for the training programs. Either way, great having you here today. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for your participation. And at the end of the day today, what was your number one learning, or what's your biggest takeaway from this? Give us that. Give that whole thing into the chat window. Biggest lesson, biggest takeaway. I'll give you mine. Mine is a very, very simple one. That it's more fun when you ask people to do things creatively than it is if you just ask people to type in the word yes or to type in the word hello. Enjoy it. Have a great afternoon. Take care. Bye for now.